We asked this question of Muslims around the world as well as the American public. Do you believe the Western world respects the Muslim world? The majority in Muslim countries, not surprisingly, said no. 84% of Palestinians, 80% of Egyptians. But what was perhaps more surprising is that the majority of Americans, in fact, agreed. 54% said no, the Western world does not respect the Muslim world.
You know, there is this notion that the Arab world or the Muslim world are just a bunch of fanatics. I mean, ultimately, instantly, we felt that the West was seeing us through the lenses of bin Laden, that bin Laden put on their eyes.
I think that Arabs and Muslims are the last group in the United States that one can denigrate openly and without any fear of reprisal. All they've heard about Muslims is 9/11 and maybe one or two other things. And all they see from the images in Iraq is violence and killings and people getting beheaded or kidnapped. You don't get in American mainstream life, either on the media or in people's ordinary lives, the capacity of ordinary Americans to see ordinary Muslims.
The media in the United States specifically has focused its attention on a tiny fringe minority. And we can see this from actual studies on media content. We found that, according to a media content analysis, that 57% of the people portraying Islam in the US news media are militants. 57%, the majority, when in fact they only make up a fraction of 1% of the global Muslim community. So they are overrepresented in the news media versus their actual numbers. And what that does is creates the image of Muslims as violent people.
I do think that it's important to always remember that what tends to drive newspaper sales and television broadcasts and everything else is this habit of if it bleeds, it leads. And as a result, you've had a tendency over the past 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 years to see the voices of the worst elements of Muslim society elevated to positions of leadership and elevated to positions where they are the ones who seem to be speaking for the Muslim world as a whole, because what they are saying is so extreme and so eye-catching.
The problem is it gives one a distorted vision of the broader reality. If your focus is on the acts of terrorists, if your focus is on violence and terrorism, and if you don't also have media coverage and a significant amount that provides broader coverage, then people have no context within which to place that story. There's a big difference between talking about Osama bin Laden and what extremists are about and what the vast majority of Muslims are about.
The damage has been done for 50 and 100 years. It's not going to be corrected in one survey or in 2 surveys or in a year or 2 or by the efforts of a few people. I think we have to dig deeper. We have to bring out the positiveness on both sides. The commonness is where people meet.